Welcome to In the Doghouse with Alex and
Broede. So, let's transition here to the hey guys, this is Broede. Yeah, unfortunately we won't have Alex on the camera this time. We can't. We don't have one. So
sad monkey.
We'll get more into that later. There's really a lot going on right now, and we cannot ignore it.
No.
There's too much shit. So let's get to it. Go ahead and open us up with this.
What, the habitual cannabis use?
Oh no, you were going to open with the Trump thing, right?
The Trump thing.
Ow! Damn it! I burned myself.
Oh, the Trump. Man, all right. So, for those of you that, don't typically follow news, and don't get me wrong, I don't blame you. I, for years, stayed away from...
Well, I want to make sure you know what I'm talking about, though. No, not that one. I was talking about... That's for later.
Okay.
I was talking about the one with him going to the UK, the thing that she linked to us on Twitter.
All right, hold on. Let me get on that Twitter.
Aren't you glad we're not live yet, guys?
I know I am.
Because this would be a lot of dead space. But hey, this is good practice for when we have moments that we can't really say too much, right?
Absolutely.
To keep shit going.
All right, how do I find this shit?
Well, I've got it up on the screen, so I can go ahead and read it to you if you want.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure that I'm not covering it up. This is from Led by Donkeys, which is at by Donkeys on Twitter. And he's got a picture here posted. See, Trump has been in the UK here recently.
Oh, yeah, this one. I just got it.
Yep, there we go. All right. Yeah, he just visited over there, and apparently he made a bunch of comments while he was there, too. But he's currently trending because London... Go ahead and read the tweet.
Okay. Hi, at Real McDonald Trump. Just so you know, you're widely unpopular here in Britain. Sad. People really don't like you, though they love Barack Obama. Hope you like seeing your failing approval numbers projected into the Tower of London. Hashtag Trump UK visit.
So they could see the UK approval ratings there between Obama and Trump.
Which is 72 on Obama and 21% on Trump.
I mean, that is pretty stark contrast.
Well, I mean, and it's always been, why is he always being up against, Obama? I mean, it's not like Obama really did that many great things. Okay. Well, He did try to help in some situations and got a whole big backlash for it, but let's be honest, he also had his hand in the cookie jar military-wise. There were times that we went and we really didn't need to be out there.
Yeah, he kept promising to withdraw troops, and now he eventually did, but he actually did a thing, and he talked about it on O'Reilly's show back when he was in the White House. He talked about being... doing what was it called, the surgency or something, yeah. A bunch of troops he was going to send in there for a specific mission, and I remember him talking about that on cable news. I don't remember who was interviewing him at the time, but I'm sure anyone could Google that if they wanted to.
Absolutely.
So
do your homework.
Don't be sheep. Don't be sheep.
Hashtag teachers deserve more money. Especially if they're dealing with your brat.
Okay, so I don't really want to talk too much about the UK thing. I'm way more interested in your story. Now, let me, if you could send that over to me on Twitter.
Which one? That one?
Yes, that one.
All right, so...
Yeah, I want to have it up for the crowd while you're... or the audience, excuse me, while you're reading it.
To Twitter, direct message. To Secular, right?
Yep.
And then next. And send. Why are you gonna? I'm really bad with technology, guys. I'm sorry. About that. Here you go. Here you go, world. I love those colors, by the way. I want to give all of those people.
So where
hugs.
did you send it to? On Twitter?
A secular outrage. Hashtag Bernie.
On a message or on a
direct message?
Was it?
Yeah.
It's not showing up yet. That's all right.
Okay. See,
it's not my notifications or my messages at the moment.
Well, see, it says.
Well, that's weird. Oh, there it is.
Oop,
it just didn't give me the notification,
Oop,
that's all.
There it is.
All right.
In your face.
Okay, so now we got it up, and I want to make sure. Oh, God fucking damn the Washington Post.
Penis. What they do now.
Fuck. You got to have a sub. Now, I apparently have run out of free stories, so I'm not going to be able to hold it up, but God damn you, Washington Post. I fucking hate your site. Fucking hate you.
Well,
all right, so I'm just going to hold this up then while you read it.
Okay, all right, that's fine. The Trump administration will push to decriminalize homosexuality worldwide. I hear crickets in the background.
Wait. They're saying he's going to... Oh, this is funny. They're saying that he's going to decriminalize homosexuality?
I'm sorry, decriminalize. Decriminalize?
Yeah, you got to read that article. Holy shit! That's actually a good thing, though. If that were true, what's wrong with that? Let's see if that's true.
Right.
Dead Space, I will kill you, Dead Space. I will eat you, every last second of you.
I'll take this moment to talk about the camera situation. Or not.
Alright, the Trump administration has changed course. Most immediately, it's silence. Okay, so in the beginning, when people were voting for Trump before he made a complete and utter fool of himself, I guess. He was for LGBT community. He did get a good portion of our votes. That is not a lie. But the here and the now, the Trump administration has changed course. Most immediately, its silence has been notable. The administration doesn't speak on LGBTQ rights and fails to recognize politically important events like June Pride Month. More significantly, it has taken several policy steps that push against LGBTQ rights, including making it easier for employers to claim religious reasons for refusing to serve or employ LGBTQ people, appointing judges, including Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch. Am I saying that right?
I have no idea.
Gorsuch.
I don't have it might be Gorsuch. I don't have the article in front of me, unfortunately, because of fucking Washington.
Well, take that over while you look that up.
Well, so let me get back to the beginning of it then, I guess. Most immediately, its silence has been notable. The administration doesn't speak on LGBTQ rights. Okay, so I see what it's saying. It's saying in the past he was a vocal advocate. Yeah, I have to agree. That is surprising, knowing that. Believe it or not, that actually surprises me too. I've heard him say a lot of things in the past that were actually fairly liberal.
But see,
he used to sound liberal.
Well, see, and that's the thing is, in the beginning, he was placing candy in front of children, knowing that they would pick it up. But now people are seeing his true colors, and a lot of people are appalled by it, ashamed that they voted. Well, let me tell you, if you voted for Trump and you're listening to this, I don't blame you. All right? I'm not mad at you. I get it. But now you are obviously woke as fuck because you're listening to us now. So
right?
We're all on board. We're on this birdie train. We know we gotta vote. We gotta put our hands up. In our free time, we need to be activating our ability of free speech and put our butts out there into the public. Talk to our friends and our family, because only we can change the community around us. All right, our loved ones, they don't see what you see. You have to be that guiding light for them. All right, and it's not about a religious battle. All right, I'm not hating on anyone that has religion or anything instilled in them. I was born into a religious type household and went to church for many years before I awoke into the state of truth. And I'm not going to push my views on you no more than I want you to push your views on me. My main concern is the people like Trump using those that are deeply religious like sheep. You feel me? All right, that's wrong. You're taking advantage of someone's beliefs. That's why there's supposed to be a separation for one, is because you can sit there and manipulate weak-minded people. And I'm not making fun of religious people. I'm being real about it.
I mean, that's just honesty, right?
We need to protect them. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is that a lot of times, like, naturalists and atheists, humanists,
yeah,
for instance, there's a whole bunch of them. There's a whole bunch of these groups that believe that people fundamentally are what's important, and they will protect people that even disagree with them. They want, like, for instance, I've been saying to people online that, look, I understand you disagree, but I will still fight for your rights to have free health care, even if you don't think you want it.
Bernie,
I will still fight for that because I care enough about people to not want them to die. I do not think that this should be a meritocracy where the amount of money you have determines whether or not you get to live.
Absolutely.
I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's right. Because as a civilization, we need to start educating our people. We need to educate them with the truth. Okay? And the fact is that religion is just bullshit. It's not true. These holy books are not true. Anyway, I don't want to get off into a... Follow me on Twitter at Secular Outrage.
Right? If you want to hear more of that type of stuff like myself, then yeah, that's for that area.
Yeah. So, but I mean, to come back around, back on topic though, see, Trump learned, he's actually a pretty savvy guy. He's not naive. He's not stupid. He knows that talking in this simple language works. And he's known it all his life. It's not something he just started doing for the presidency. This is the way he's always behaved.
Right.
But he's been a con artist all his life, too.
Well,
and he's never turned it around. It's kept working for him as long as he's been rich. It's worked for him. So why would he stop lying to people? So obviously he changed his stance in 2016 because he knew, or probably in 2015 to be honest with you, because that's what he ran on. He ran on Republican talking points and ideas, and not just that, but it was also about the dog whistles that he used. Like, on his announcement, when he came down that escalator and he went and he started talking about Mexicans, instantly, he had, and it was a bunch of fucking people that were paid to be there. That's the most hilarious part of it, at his announcement. They were all fucking paid to be there. Google that shit, motherfuckers. Google it. And, so he goes in front of these people, and then, of course, he invites the cameras, and the press is going to be there because, the press will suck any millionaire's dick. Well, they actually prefer to suck billionaire dicks now, so that's why he pretends to be a billionaire. So he gets the media attention. Just look at Howard Schultz. This motherfucker was the CEO of Starbucks, and now he gets a free platform because he said, I'm running for president. Only because he's got billions of fucking dollars. Okay? If it wasn't for the fact that motherfucker's rich, it may not be billions. But it is a lot of fucking money. And you know how the media slobbers all over the rich. They pushing the stories that help, make them money.
Right.
They get told what to say. It's all uniform. Just watch all the local stations that carry, their affiliates, and the affiliates all have fucking scripts handed down to them. And Google that shit too, by the way, because you can see it, and it's spooky. Tell me it don't scare the shit out of you, man.
Right.
Tell me.
It's scary.
The final point I wanted to make was that the thing about him changing his mind. So now he appeals to these voters, right?
Right.
And we were just talking about it too, because Trump has been using these dog whistles like Mexicans and stuff like that, right?
Right. Yeah.
So he's appealing to that very strong, very passionate religious upbringing and just this intolerance for people that you think are beneath you.
Right, right.
And that's what religion perpetuates, that selfish nature in people that it can bring forth. Because it says, hey, look, if you do all the right things, you're going to get heaven. If you do all these right things, you're going to get a whole bunch of money. You're going to do, you're just going to be great. You're going to be great if you just do all these things.
Right.
So they teach winnerism versus loserism, or I don't know, whatever, some kind of, there needs to be some kind of thing for that. But so he targets them, but why does he target the religious? Because they're in electoral college states, right?
Yeah.
Those dog whistles work for the people that live there. So it's not we need one person, one vote.
All right. So what we are looking at here, for any of you in Chicago or surrounding areas that are able to make it, there is going to be an event on June 5th. And it says more than 1,800 graduate students at the University of Chicago, the alma mater of Bernie Sanders, organized a union under Graduate Students United. But for nearly 2 years, the university has not recognized their union. Until the school does so, the graduate workers can't bargain for better working conditions. That is why University of Chicago graduate workers are taking a stand this week, stopping their work and settling up a picket line after other Illinois graduate workers did the same. Their unions were recognized. Now, UC graduate workers are doing the same. They need the solidarity of Chicago area supporters so that they can take this action. So, if you are interested, the address is 5811 South South Ellis Avenue, ELLIS, Chicago, Illinois 60637. You can also find this on our event calendar. If you know how to use your Burn app, you should be able to get onto the event webpage and RSVP it.
Yeah, real briefly, since you brought that up, the Burn app, that's something that we're both on, and it allows Bernie supporters to connect. So if and one thing I also wanted to bring up, because we have a group of our own for the state of Kentucky to try to get local burners to get together. And, this app is a great way to do it, but there's a problem, though. In order to get onto the app and get people using the app, we need people in different parts of the state to start running these events. Now, there's someone on our group that says, hey, is anyone doing Western Kentucky?
Right.
So listen, if you could share this video, spread the word out. We'd like to get the word to everyone that we can possibly get to. Even if you're not a Bernie supporter, Because the one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to get muddled into the same 2016 shit. The fact of the matter is that Bernie is who I support. That is who our family pretty much all supports.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And it's not because, you know, we're not Democrats.
No.
Look me in the eye, people that do not, you know, don't like Bernie, you know, and Democrats and the Hill people and the Biden people. Listen, we're doing this because we care.
Absolutely.
We're not going to fight you. Okay? That's not what we're here to do.
No.
We will converse with you, though.
Absolutely.
So if you can be cool and be respectful and, you know, just understand that we are human, we're all human beings, and at the end of the day, we do want the same thing. We just may want them in different ways or whatever.
Oh, absolutely.
So, you know, and we just believe different candidates will do different things. And there is nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, we're not, you know, so Bernie or bust that we don't accept that other people are just going to disagree with us. But
we value
we will
other
fight you
people's
like hell.
opinions because we value other people's opinions for the same right that all people should, because we're not going to find real change by just cutting ourselves off into our own individual groups. We all must act as community like we should have already been. All right? Our best brains being put together to unify not only each other, but to also help heal the earth that has been badly damaged over various years. You know, and climate change is most important, and we are not going to get to a solution if we are divided. All right, and that is why, one of the many reasons why I am Bernie or bust, but I am open-minded, and I am an inspiring journalist. I want to actually go out there myself. If I could finance, you know, myself independently to do so, I already would be, for sure. But I'm very active in the community that I'm around, even if I'm not that well known. I'm more or less a back player. I listen and I take in the world around me until I see fit to speak up and say otherwise.
Yeah, but we also talk to people on a national level too.
Absolutely.
Because it's just that local politics right now are more important, because we can't just rely on Bernie. What is it he always says? It's not me, us.
Absolutely.
And when we're in the White House,
yes.
So when he says we're in the White House, he's being serious.
Yeah, he means it.
We need people at the grassroots level.
Yep.
And we happen to be in Kentucky. We can't affect anyone else's politics directly.
And don't think that we're the only ones doing this. There are many of us supporters that are putting in hundreds of our free time hours into trying to make this happen. All right. And one of the things, I am all for people running. It's a freedom. Okay. But don't you find it just a little bit odd that there's all of a sudden more Democrat running than ever before? You know why that is. It's the government trying to take control over the votes. The more that they can divide the Democratic votes, that's more votes being taken away from Bernie. And let's be real, they are afraid of Bernie Sanders. This is no joke. It's because he's trying to touch all of the American issues, not just some. And he's not worrying about lining other people's pockets, other than the working class. The people, if you are working 40 hours a week, you do not deserve to live in poverty. You're paying your taxes. Uncle Sam has been taking from you, and it's time that he gives a little back. So that is why I'm Bernie or burn. And I think other people should be. But you need to do your homework. Actually see what mistakes people has made in the past. Look up their history. It's all there for you to pick through. It really is. Vast, unlimited amounts of information, And yeah, some of it's opinions, and opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. So
Yeah.
you sit there and you do your homework. That does not mean just look on one website. That means try and flip through them all. If you're not able to actually be in it to get the facts from the dog, you got to do your homework.
Yeah, so 100% agree with you. And you kind of, I noticed that you starting to channel Nina there.
Oh,
Sister Turner.
I love that woman. Oh, she is a woman after my own heart. When I first heard her speak in 2016, oh, my jaw dropped.
Right.
I felt the chills in my body. Everything that she was saying, I was being spoken to. Yeah, okay, I'm white. So, a color shouldn't matter anymore. That shouldn't be a thing. The fact
We all
that
bleed red.
it's all about dividing. See, that's why I'm for Bernie. No more dividing us up. No more singling people out. Get these people out of these prisons that don't need to be there. Let them work and be American citizens again. Because honestly, everyone that's being put in jail or prison, they're losing their rights. Okay, that's what happens. They lose their rights.
They do, absolutely. And I think that's one of the great things about Bernie is that he acknowledges, hey, look, we have an oppressive system. And there's a large number of people that are not able to vote simply because
They're
they
incarcerated.
committed a so-called crime, which is smoking marijuana.
Right.
And marijuana, unfortunately, has a lot of propaganda, but we'll get to. We have a piece about that later also. But while we're still on the topic of politics, it's important that people get the education about marijuana and then make the choice themselves and realize that the harmful effects that people keep trying to talk about are things like, they have to, like when it was legalized in Colorado and they were trying to cite how, there's this big rash of people coming to the hospital now because they eat these edibles. And it's, because they never tried it before and think they're like fucking dying or something. They've never had that experience before. And for some people are allergic to the stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So there's going to be some of the people that come in because they just found out they're allergic. Okay, it just became legal. The information about this needs to be a lot, propelled out there, not the propaganda. The truth of it, people just don't die from overdoses of marijuana. They just don't.
I'm going to be honest with you. I sat down, and the most that happened to me was I did throw up because I ended up getting really dizzy. Mm-hmm. But it was the best sleep I had ever had.
Yeah.
But I mean, alcohol is legal, and what are we dealing with that? We're giving alcoholics disability. So that they can
we're protecting
continue
the
to
alcohol
use,
industry,
money
right?
to drink, right? So I think that there needs to be more patience and open-mindedness when it comes to legalization of cannabis, because the statistics are fact in such you're not going to overdose on it, and when you don't have any weed left, you're not going to go in fits of rage and go rob a bank or go and become a physically violent person. All right, It's not like where's my next fix? All right, we're not.
Yeah,
We're not
exactly.
trying to legalize drugs that are going to hurt people. We're actually trying to legalize an herb that is fighting seizures, fighting cancer, helping. You know how hard.
Depression
Yes.
is a huge one that it fixes.
Yes. And if you know someone that has cancer and is going through chemo, or radiational therapy for that matter, my grandma, when she was going through it, every time she had times where she just could not eat, and it was really hard for her. I wish that I had marijuana then, because I would have given it to her, because I had already known the statistics then that it was being used to help cancer patients with not losing as much weight. However, my grandma passed away because she got tired of fighting it. You find that in a lot of people after, battling so long, sometimes it just becomes too much.
Yeah, and the will is what ends up draining away, and then the fight's pretty much over at that point.
Right, absolutely. And, if medical marijuana was even, a case here in Kentucky, I think it would have given my grandma that hope that she would have needed. You know what I'm saying? But we will never know, right? But we could know in the future for other cancer patients or for people dealing with seizures. And I was watching this amazing video, and it was heartbreaking, and it was hard to watch. An autistic kid that physically harms himself when he goes in through, it gets into some fits, and their parents had a mask to put over his face. And it was a vapor marijuana that he inhaled, and his dad, was holding his arms to keep him from, continuously hitting himself. And you could see the marks on this boy's face, okay?
God damn,
and
man.
if I know, autistic children and adults both able to live outside, and those that are, in mental, health hospitals.
Yeah.
So, because I've worked with them. When you introduce that marijuana to the boy, okay, it wasn't an immediate change. And it showed that it wasn't immediate, all right? We're not looking at immediate, but in time, that boy quit trying to fight his father. So his father was able to get up off the chair and let this boy sit back in his chair, and he just started rocking. He was no longer violently hurting himself. Now, if something like that can happen, all right, because that also eases the stress of the family dealing with the child with autism, all right? This is a very real thing. This isn't just one family every now and then. This autism, is a rather high population, within America.
Yeah.
I know various families in Kentucky and outside of Kentucky that, have a family member that they take care of, or has a family member that's in a hospital, depending on to what degree it is, because you have all different degrees of autism. You have high functioning autism even.
Yeah, there's a number of autistic people that have been able to function really well, and a lot of it's because the marijuana helps to relieve the depression and the stress.
Absolutely.
And relax muscles. Like, I've seen seizure patients, people that literally, and remember that there was a video where this guy was just seizing. He constantly shakes, every day of his life. And then he was given a joint, or it was like a pinner, but he gave him some marijuana, and then he was smoking it, and then he just stopped, and he was like, wow, I can relax.
Yeah.
He was steady, and it was fucking heartbreaking because this shit is illegal.
Yeah.
In so many places, and because of propaganda.
Right, and the other sad factor for that guy, because I remember watching that with you, is he even said, it's not a lasting effect. I'll start, shaking again within another hour or so. So, I mean, unless he was able to be properly medicated on medical marijuana, this man has to deal with these shakes. Because let's be honest, with marijuana as a street drug, it is also more expensive in some cases than as a medical drug that you can get prescribed from your doctor, and then your health care provider, whoever that is, Medicaid, Medicare, or whatever, would also help in paying for that. Even if you still have to pay, a deductible or whatever, it's still going to be cheaper than trying to get a hustle on the street with possibly someone you don't know. And that's always a dangerous thing, especially if you end up finding someone that deals in something more than just marijuana. Me, I would never do that, because I'd be afraid that they'd be lacing that stuff with something else, because it happened to my mom, not on the medical marijuana part, but my mom's a coffee drinker, and this family put methamphetamines, had it cooked into coffee filters. And, that's some bullshit.
Okay, we're back.
Right on.
And we're back from the break, although you won't know that, but we are looking at this hemp website right now. and they are talking about the positive aspects of using hemp because it's eco-friendly. It biodegrades, and it lasts longer. And so here's the facts.
Yeah, but isn't it like rough and itchy to wear? Well, that's what people have told me. It's like wearing a potato sack.
Perhaps, but this is the research I'm doing is based on something you had mentioned that we got talking about it. Wanted to do this for the show, talking about the eco-friendliness of using hemp as paper,
right.
So that we
yes.
stop growing, stop cutting down all the, as many trees,
right?
Because we do have to cut down trees. We do need lumber for some things, but we're obviously wasting entire forests and not replanting them nearly as fast, and these less trees means they're not eating up the carbon in the atmosphere.
Right, absolutely. And
So-
that is a big issue that I believe is, helping with the issues of climate change that we're experiencing around the globe.
Yeah, and it only makes sense. So there's been a push in the last 20 years to get things replanted, trees planted in large forests, but it takes time for them to grow, right? So it's
Right.
going to take time. So that is obviously not going to do it by itself. So you need many other catalysts.
Right.
So anyway,
Grow marijuana.
Well, yeah.
Lots and lots and lots of marijuana.
we'll talk the climate at some point too.
Right.
That's a good thing to talk about.
Oh, that's my main concern right now. I mean, yes, women's rights is very important, abortion and this, all of these different, issues that are going on. They're very important, don't get me wrong, but none of these issues are going to matter if we don't have a planet.
Exactly, right?
All right,
If we do end up fucking all dying, then...
Right. Right now, it's, like I said, we need to quit the dividing. We all need to unite under one banner, all right, so that we can get working on healing this earth. And that should be everyone's first and foremost, agenda, in my personal opinion. Because if we don't do it now, it's going to be too late. And that's just the facts. Then we'll all be able to debate on everything else. You know what I'm saying? But climate change really should be the first thing.
And the thing is that we know it's the fossil fuel industry that's responsible for it. Where they push propaganda, and then you have lobbyists and other idiots and people that get on TV and believe this bullshit.
Right.
They'll go outside and, on a day where there's snow and say, hey, how's that global warming? What's it going to fucking take for them to realize that our winters are getting shorter and they're not getting as cold?
Right.
But when we have this extreme weather, it's really fucking awful.
Yeah, it is.
What's it going to take, an entire winter of no snow? Will that finally be enough to convince them?
Right. And yeah.
But at that point, it's going to be too late.
Right.
So it's like, what?
And it's like, yeah, I know, I work at Valvoline, but let me tell you, it's not like there's a lot of places that are, hiring that pay a decent enough wage that my family can live on. So I am forced, unless I get fired through, this podcasting, which is rather, possible, actually. But my give a damn's kind of been busted. It was busted before Bernie came around, and then he gave me something to give a damn about. And everything else about my give a damn is still busted, though. So it's kind of like a broken unit.
I get you. But, so back to the hemp. The points on this site are: hemp makes a strong, durable, comfortable, healthy, and high-performance fabric that's great for all seasons and for use indoors and out. Hemp is an exceptionally comfortable and healthy fabric to wear since it's hypoallergenic and non-irritating to the skin. Well, I guess there's some people that disagree with that. But at the same time, maybe there are a few people that are allergic to it, and they're the ones that should not use it, obviously. Now, no one's saying to stop using cotton. Cotton is another natural product, right?
Right.
There's no reason why we can't mix fabrics, even though the Bible tells you not to.
Right.
But we mix fabrics all the time. Why don't we mix, natural? We don't need the oil-based products to be everywhere. the less oil-based products that we use, and naturally we're going to need some oil-based products because we've gotten used to.
Yeah, but see,
But
here's my fighting, or
reduce
here's
them.
my plea against that. Our fossil fuels are pretty much just decayed bodies, animals, and plant matter.
Under a lot of pressure,
right,
etc.
We need to start studying different plants to see what plants can give off a specific amount of oil that we can then make, into these less or preferably more economy safe vehicles. All right, we need to steer away from, using these and burning these things off. And the best way, I think, to do that is by learning more about the plant life in this world. All right, and once we figure out what we can possibly use by, mass creating, growing these things, all right, and learning about them more, find the solution. It's not going to happen overnight, but nothing is. Let's be real.
Yeah, and the truth is that also another source of oil is our fish.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
but see, here's
that's
the
another
problem.
alternative.
But here's another problem with fish. All right, you have places in other countries that mass grow fish in small areas, and they become sick or whatever, and things happen to them because they don't really have the room. All right, which is really inhumane to do to fish to begin with.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, like we do to our pigs and our cows and shit like that,
right,
too.
All right,
Chickens.
so that in that atmosphere, that is an absolute no-go. All right, the problem with trying to go fishing, say out in the open ocean anymore, is there's less and less fish already because of oil spills, because their life is changing just like ours. All right, so I don't think fish or using any type of life form as outside of plants and trying to learn more about what our earth can provide, maybe even in the seaweed or something that we can find in our oceans.
Well, even fossil fuels to an extent would be all right if it were regulated heavily, as in it's not used in fucking vehicles that emit a whole bunch of carbon out in the atmosphere. Because, I mean, think about it. We have so many fucking cars out in the world, and the mass majority of them are still using fossil fuels.
Okay, so then
that's kicking out, hold on,
sorry.
this goes somewhere. So that kicks out all this carbon into the atmosphere, right?
Right.
We have less trees that are eating that up. Our carbon is going up. What happens when there's a higher concentration of carbon in the atmosphere? It gets hotter.
Right.
And that's causing the sea levels to rise, which there are cities now that are under, not necessarily entire cities, but certainly large portions of some smaller cities have gone completely underwater.
Well, but you also got to think about the pollution of major factories and contaminating the water and stuff. And a lot of our communities throughout America and other worlds that have these types of industries are being affected by it. So it's very inhumane when you think about the community that these places would be in. That's another reason why I don't think fossil fuels is truly the way to go if it has any type of output. Now, I strongly suggest maybe we start researching more about honey, because honey already has a certain type of texture and thickness to it already. And sure, you can sit there and state that it'll gunk up in an engine or something like that, but you can take honey as a base, all right, and add water and other stuff to it to create a type of oil to be able to run on a economy safe vehicle. Sure, you may have to lube her. Yes, environmentally safe vehicle. Sure, you may have to oil her up a little bit more. But I mean, the bee population is already dwindling heavily due to pesticides and such that we've been putting into our atmosphere for 20 plus years, 40 plus years.
Yeah. So a part of a Green New Deal obviously would be to switch more to alternatives, and the hemp is potentially a really good one.
Right.
And obviously, as it becomes more legal, we realize that there are people that are allergic to it. So that education is very important.
Absolutely.
So that they don't wear
hemp
things.
material.
Yeah.
Right,
so
absolutely.
that they know not to.
Right. I mean, it obviously should have, some sort of logo that states, what it's made out of, just like, the shirts and tags that you buy today, says cotton or, polyester or whatever.
Yeah, well, I believe that that's where regulation comes into play, right?
Absolutely.
And that is an industry that, it should welcome regulation. I think you should welcome regulation if you're a company that is actually taking care of things, right?
Right.
Why would you not want oversight? If you have something to hide, you don't want oversight, right?
Right, absolutely.
And usually those are the people that we need the oversight over. We need to know the truth.
And honestly,
what are their real interests? What are they actually doing?
There was a store called Hancock Fabrics in Elizabethtown, and my mom and I and my grandma as well loved to go in there because they had all different types of fabrics for all different types of projects, and they also had rugs and stuff like that. And if marijuana had been legalized a long time ago, I don't think that company would have ever went out of business, because you could do hemp rugs, and you can do, they could have sold hemp materials and stuff like that, which would have been, more to offer, to the community. I know a lot of people that enjoy doing projects like crocheting and knitting, for example, that, were heartbroken when Hancock Fabrics went under. And I totally derailed. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. We do need to get back on track, though.
Yes.
Hemp has excellent insulative and conductive qualities. When compared to cotton, for example, hemp is warmer yet breathes better. For hot weather, hemp has superior conductive qualities to those of all other textile fibers, equaled only by flax, allowing the wearer to feel cool, comfortable, and fresh in very hot and or humid conditions. So it's good material for clothing, right? Hemp's fiber molecule has a shaft-like structure that allows it to wick moisture right off the body, dry quickly, and in cold conditions even feel warm when wet. Hemp fabric is very resistant to degradation from mold, bacteria, saltwater, sunlight, abrasion, and chemicals, while being fully biodegradable, unlike synthetic fibers. Products made from hemp are much less prone to develop into problems. Hemp provides unparalleled protection from UV radiation. That's a big one we need right now because of all the cancer.
Absolutely.
Hemp textiles have rich and supple texture and tremendous strength and durability. Hemp is an excellent ecological alternative to environmentally destructive conventional cotton cultivation and synthetics.
Right.
Now, and that's kind of what we were talking about. But cotton itself, if we actually, I'm not sure what it talks about destructive cotton cultivation. Synthetics, I think, are not necessarily a good idea.
No.
But I may have to look into that. I don't see what the problem with cotton is, but there may just be something we don't know. We'll have to check that out some other time. Plant fibers breathe much better than leather and synthetics, and hemp breathes better than all other plant fibers. That might be an opinion.
Probably another reason why it's called a weed, because you know how hard weeds are to get rid of.
Hemp fiber is also more environmentally sound than synthetics, because plant fibers are totally biodegradable and have been produced from a natural origin without the pollution resulting from the manufacture of synthetics. Now that's what we were talking about when your harvesting method. So if that's what they're talking about with the cotton, the harvesting methods uses fossil fuels or in some other way, yeah, that would be bad. So that's why you need it to go, it needs to be picked by, I don't know, maybe a small number of farm machines. I don't really have a problem with fossil fuels using, because when it comes down to it, if we stop killing off our trees and actually replace them, the carbon will eventually come back down. Right? I mean, that just kind of feels like it makes sense.
Well, I mean, usually, and I know common sense isn't necessarily common anymore, but in truth, if you know the difference between right and wrong, then common sense is not far behind that. You make a judgment call based on the good overruling the bad.
And how do you determine that? Education.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
If you're educated properly, then you can make a good determination using critical thinking skills.
Yes.
No one has to have. Now, I'm not looking for everyone to have a uniform response to that, because obviously people are going to come to their own conclusions, and that is fine.
Right.
But as long as you're doing it for the right reasons, I think most of us will come together, honestly.
Right.
That's what I believe. So, but back to hemp fiber is also more of, oh no, I already read that. Hemp also has greater ecological benefits than other plant fibers since it is the most environmentally positive. Okay, so this is he's blowing some smoke up our ass a little there. It requires no chemicals in its production and actually improves the soil, which are true. So, and of course, you can always do your own investigation. Over time, we will talk about these things ourselves on the show, but we want to keep the show moving.
Yes, yes.
So, do you have any last minute thoughts on that, or are you ready to go straight on into your
I am ready.
article? All right, so I'm going to close that one out so everyone can see. All right, now it's on you.
All right. So, I had heard a rumor years ago about marijuana, if enough of it's grown, that it creates more oxygen in the atmosphere than a tree would. So, did some delving, and I found a lot of people throughout like 2013 all the way up into 2015 that were putting marijuana information to sound bad. They put it in a politically bad taste, for the reader to have a negative view on marijuana instead of, the facts actually being put out there. Mm-hmm. So did some research on the FDA, and see, if there was any progress from a 2015 report where they said that it hadn't been regulated yet.
Okay.
So, I sent you the website if you wanted to put it out.
Oh, I thought we were going to do the habitual cannabis uses. I got that article up. I'm sorry.
This is, then that's the article, all right, the 2015 article.
FDA and marijuana. Okay,
yes.
yeah, it's okay. So now it's up. I got the right article up.
Right.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. I didn't say
difficulties.
anything. So anyway, that link got me looking, and this is the link that I came up with. And like I said, you can look further into it, do research on it, and if there's something that ends up being incorrect, please message us so that we know, and we will make sure to verify the proper information being put out there. Again, we are only human, and this is something that we, haven't actually been able to dedicate a whole lot of time until recently into. Mm-hmm. So, looking for treatment. The FDA understands that caregivers and patients are looking for treatment options for unmet medical needs. In some instances, patients or their caregivers are turning to marijuana in an attempt to treat conditions such as seizures and chemotherapy-induced nausea. Kind of like the story when I was talking to you about my grandma.
Right.
All right. So, untested drugs can have unknown consequences. Again,
kind of stands to reason, right?
Right, absolutely. That there's a difference between a drug and, say, herbs, in my opinion. But they keep saying drugs, and that's something that I'm not too, fond of. But anyway, over the last few decades, there has been significant interest in the potential utility of marijuana for a variety of medical conditions, including those that already have FDA-approved therapies. More recently, several states have also passed laws that remove state restrictions on healthcare professionals using marijuana as a medical treatment for a variety of conditions. A number of states are considering similar legislation regarding the use of marijuana in medical settings. FDA's role in the drug approval process. The FDA has not approved marijuana as a safe and effective drug for any indication. The agency, however, approved one specific drug product that contains the purified substance of cannabis oil, one more than 80 active chemicals in marijuana for the treatment of seizures associated with Lennox Gastaut, thank you, because I was not exactly sure.
Well, I'm not sure either, but that's
it's a syndrome
close.
or Dravet syndrome in patients 2 years of age or older. The FDA has also approved 2 drugs containing a synthetic version of the substance that is present in the marijuana plant, and one other drug containing a synthetic substance that acts similar to compounds from marijuana, but is not present in marijuana. The FDA is aware that there is considerable interest in the use of marijuana to attempt to treat a number of medical conditions, including, for example, glaucoma, AIDS wasting syndrome, neuropathic pain, cancer, multiple sclerosis, chemotherapy-induced nausea, and certain seizure disorders.
okay. So it sounds like it's pretty straightforward so far, right?
Right, absolutely. Before conducting testing in humans of a drug that has not been approved by the FDA, an investigator submits an investigational new drug application, which is reviewed by the FDA. And you're good. An NDA includes protocols describing proposed studies, the qualifications of the investigators who will conduct the clinical studies, and assurances of informed consent and protection of the rights, safety, and welfare of the human subjects. The FDA reviews the IND to ensure that the proposed studies, generally referred to as clinical trials, do not place human subjects at unreasonable risk of harm. The FDA also verifies that there are adequate assurances to inform consent and human subject protection.
Okay. So the FDA's role in the regulation of drugs, including marijuana and marijuana-derived products.
They could openly ask for volunteers, and there would be hundreds of thousands of Americans more than willing to help with that study for free. I bet your ass.
Yeah.
You know, they make it sound like it's the struggle is real. No, man, there ain't no struggle. You just don't want to do anything. Fuck you. All right, so I'm sorry. Look, back to this. The FDA's role in the regulation of drugs, including marijuana and marijuana-derived products, also includes review of applications to market drugs to determine whether proposed drug products are safe and effective for their intended indications. The FDA's drug approval process requires that clinical trials be designed and conducted in a way that provide the agency with the necessary scientific data upon which the FDA can make its approval decisions. Without this review, the FDA cannot determine whether a drug product is safe and effective. It cannot ensure that a drug product meets appropriate quality standards. For certain drugs that have not been approved by the FDA, such as marijuana, the lack of FDA approval and oversight means that the purity and potency of the drug may vary considerably. Okay, so
That's true.
That's when the person that you get it from tells you one of two things.
What's that?
Hey.
Damn it. You know, like my mama used to say, smoke another. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. So, one of two things is this is good for you to be able to work on, meaning that it's not an indica. It's I believe it's called a syndica, sativa. A sativa plant, which affects the brain more than it affects the body. So you're still, able to function and, usually happier in doing so. Or they're going to tell you, man, this is some good shit. It's going to fuck you up. It gonna fuck you up. And that is called an indica. A good way to remember it, in the couch. You will be stuck. Alright, and that is not even for all marijuana users. People that smoke on a daily like me probably wouldn't experience that heavy of it unless it's a strain that I hadn't had before and I was completely unequipped,
Well, why the hell are we regulating... not regulating. Why are we? Because regulation is good, believe it or not.
Yeah, it is.
The problem, oversight is a good thing for any industry. Every industry needs oversight. Period. I don't care who you are. An industry needs oversight. Mm-hmm. And why are we banning drugs? I mean, prohibition never worked, man. They kept trying that shit. It never worked. And alcohol is an obvious drug that fucking kills a bunch of people. Mm-hmm. So if we want to have that legal, I honestly don't see... everything should be regulated.
Right.
And if you regulate cocaine, fucking who cares? If you regulate heroin, I don't give a shit. Granted, some drugs are just fuck you up drugs, but I'm saying we got alcohol. Yeah. There's no reason to have any drug illegal if we have alcohol legal.
Well, especially since they consider alcohol regulated, and you can see, how regulations have gone on, that. But I do agree that, like, certain drugs, cocaine, you can get a lot of different medical properties off of that plant. If used properly, it can be beneficial to specific needs that some people have. I still have a lot of research, of course, to do on cocaine and medicinal before I really go talking about it more. But, and that's the same to be said with, look at what opioids and, that stuff that they have in a lot of prescription pain medicine that people are getting addicted to and having to use now. They can use some of these people that are withdrawing off of these opioid prescription drugs are using marijuana to help them through that process. And it is I'm not going to say it's 100%, because you will always have some people that backstep if they can get their hands on it, you know what I'm saying? But overall, marijuana is helping a lot of people get off of these hardcore drugs, all right? I don't think introducing heroin into the population at any point, would be beneficial. But if they can find some type of, because I don't even know how you make heroin, but I assume that anything that you got to add components to is not a good thing. Like, I would like to be able to experiment with shrooms. I mean, obviously a hallucinogenic, but it's still natural. Now, I would like to see natural plants and stuff like that be regulated into the population, especially if we can do more research to see what all they can do. And not just because, oh man, I really want to try shrooms, because I do. But
yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah, but I'm not going around, looking for someone to be like, hey, you got shrooms?
I just don't like the way they taste. I don't even like mushrooms on my
hear they
food.
Taste like ass. I assume if I'm going to take it, I'm going to just put it in my mouth, chew, and swallow that motherfucker as quickly as I can with some dew going back,
Yeah. So, back on this.
Anyway.
Now, you said, so this is a pretty long, oh, okay. So it's not actually that much longer. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not.
So where were we at?
All right. So the last paragraph before FDA supports sound scientific research.
Yeah.
All right. So, as with other drugs that are not approved by the FDA, the agency works closely with the medical and patient communities and our federal partners when necessary. See, now that just tells me that there's a lot of people with their money and grubbing motherfucking hands involved in it, and it's probably another reason why shit's going so slowly. I'm sorry. Anyway, back to it.
Well, no, I mean, you make a good point, though, if I may say.
Yeah.
Because You have to look for who is in charge of companies, right?
Absolutely.
Which is why regulation is important and oversight.
Right.
Because when people are in control of a thing like the FDA, if you have someone appointed to it, like with the FCC, with Ajit Pai, and he was, super anti net neutrality. So he got appointed, and then he started fucking net neutrality. Mm-hmm. The FDA is not immune from that kind of fuckery either, right?
Right.
So anyway, I'm sorry.
No,
please
you're
continue.
good. You're fine. All right. To allow access to experimental treatments through the expanded access provisions described in the FDA's statute and regulations. The FDA's expanded access provisions are designed to facilitate the availability of investigational products to patients with serious diseases or conditions when there is no comparable or satisfactory alternative therapy available, either because the patients have exhausted treatment with or are intolerant of approved therapies, or when the patients are not eligible for an ongoing clinical trial.
Now here's the part where it gets interesting, right?
Right. Yeah.
So,
I was about to say
now.
no.
If I take this part?
You do it.
All right. FDA supports sound scientific research is what it says. FDA also has an important role to play in supporting scientific research into the medical uses of marijuana and its constituents in scientifically valid investigations as part of the agency's drug review and approval process. As part of this rule, the FDA supports those in the medical research community who intend to study marijuana. The FDA also supports research into the medical use of marijuana and its constituents through cooperation with other federal agencies involved in marijuana research. Conducting clinical research using marijuana involves interactions with other federal agencies. The FDA reviews the IND application and the research protocol submitted by the applicant. The Drug Enforcement Administration reviews the registration application filed by the researcher.
Wow.
The National Institute on Drug Abuse within the National Institutes of Health provides research-grade marijuana for scientific study. The agency is responsible for overseeing the cultivation of marijuana for medical research and has contracted with the University of Mississippi to grow marijuana for research at a secured facility. Marijuana of varying potencies and compositions is available. DEA also may allow additional growers to register with the DEA to produce and distribute marijuana for research purposes. And finally, I throw it back to you to finish.
State legislation on marijuana. Several states have either passed laws that remove state restrictions on the medical use of marijuana and its derivatives, or are considering doing so. The FDA supports researchers who conduct adequate and well-controlled clinical trials, which may lead to the development of safe and effective marijuana products to treat medical conditions. We have talked to several states, including Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, New York, and Pennsylvania, who are considering support for medical research of marijuana and its derivatives to ensure that their plans meet federal requirements and scientific standards.
It's talking about it in a very, very clinical way, right?
Right.
So it's not using any kind of language that's any kind of dog whistling language or anything like that. They're just it's all straightforward.
Right.
So it doesn't seem like it takes a stance. Mm-hmm. And because of that, it makes it pretty. Look pretty legit that the DEA is doing the right thing.
Right.
So far, it doesn't look like they're trying to interfere, unless I missed something.
I don't think you have.
Okay, so all right, so we didn't quite get all to the to all the articles tonight, but we will keep those on the docket for the next time that we record. So
absolutely,
we're going to go ahead and say. Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed the content, please subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. I'm Secular Outrage, and
I am Alex Informed on Twitter, and
with an underscore, Alex_informed. Mine is one word.
yes, and Alex out. Oof, oof.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you in the doghouse next time.
Bye bye.